right, the wide receivers at the top of our rankings. We have Tyler Lockett, DeAndre Hopkins, and Calvin Ridley Davis. How do you stack them?
I mean, look, we're jumping the shark if we're ranking Tyler Lockett ahead of DeAndre Hopkins. Come on, guys.
Are we actually?
Yes, we actually are. What is Tyler Lockett's touchdown rate right now? Like 13%?
It's Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
it's okay. Last week, did you play Kyler or Russ and Cash?
Kyler.
I played Russ for that. That's why though.
But I played Lockett and Hopkins.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm saying but look at the difference as the quarterback, right? Like Kyler can have these games where it hasn't affected Hopkins yet.
He still got 24 DraftKings points though.
No,
Kyler
I'm saying I said it can affect him. It's not that it probably will. To be honest, we're nitpicking. I don't really care.
Sean agrees with you, Davis, for what it's worth. Sean, you have Hopkins.
Yeah, it's Hopkins, Lockett, Ridley.
Yeah, so I have Hopkins number 1. I have Lockett and DK Metcalf 2-3. I feel like I had this happen last week, and I just bumped him down because I'm still a little bit uncomfortable ranking receivers in the top 3.
I had them both.
After last week, that's it. They're both top 3, and I'm a huge Calvin Ridley fan. But, without Julio Jones, I think that does cap his upside. So Lockett and Metcalf top 3 for me for sure.
Before sanity checking last week, I had Lockett and Metcalf both projected for over 0.7 receiving touchdowns. It's the most absurd projection I've ever seen. And then I went and fiddled with it manually, and then they both just scored. They both just scored 30 points.
I'm saying I'm just not fiddling anymore. I'm just letting it be.
Yeah.
I'm there too. Except no, I'm not there. I need to fiddle. Raybon, who are you having at number? You have Lockett number 1. I mean, talk about it.
His quarterback has thrown 14 touchdowns. His quarterback has pretty much not made a bad throw all year. And I get it. He's played the Falcons. He's played the Patriots, which are a little better. Still torched them. And then the Cowboys, bad. But he's playing the Dolphins now. This doesn't have to stop yet. It'll stop at some point. He'll run into one of those bad games at some point. But this just doesn't set up as a game. So I'm going to continue to roll with it. And then I have Calvin Ridley number 2 because it's Calvin Ridley and in this Falcons Green Bay game. Falcons are a big dog. They've thrown more than any team in the league, since Cutter took back over. They have, I believe it is now 13 of 19 games or something with 40 or 39 plus pass attempts. And Calvin Ridley's been amazing. And the Falcons defense is so bad that's a lot of times what can put these guys over the edge. Because look at the Seahawks and Russ. Part of it is Russ balling. And part of it is the Seahawks can't stop anyone. So I love this for Calvin. And then Hopkins, I have number 3. And it's not like I'm down on Hopkins or anything like that. But you look at the matchup, Arizona playing Carolina. Could be a little bit easier of a time. Arizona's a favorite. I think this could be a game where you start to see the run game get more involved, especially after Kyler had some turnovers last week in a game that they should versus an opponent they should have beat. So that's kind of why I have them. But if you had them in a different order, I'm not actually gonna argue with you. But it's Lockett, Ridley, Hopkins for me.
Yeah, I have Ridley number 1, and a lot of it just has to do with the market share of the targets that I think he's going to get without Julio there. And he's just gotten unreal target volume anyway. And if Julio is out once again, which I'm expecting he probably will be, and then now also Russell Gage left in week 3 with a concussion. So Gage might not play in this game. So if both of those guys are out, obviously he's going to have a ton of defensive attention, but I think he will also have a ton of volume, which is why I have him number 1. Davis, who are you high on?
So I guess the guy that I'm going to be highest on relative to what people are going to do this week is going to be Laviska Shenault, because DJ Shark on Monday went to go back in and get more tests done. I think it's a knee. I'm not actually sure what DJ Shark has an injury to on his body, but yeah, I think Shenault, I'm basically going to project him kind of the same way I did last week. I actually think that Chris Conley putting together that point shaving performance on Thursday night is going to actually expand Chenault's role relative to what it would have been had Conley been decent in that game. So I think Shenault, I'm going to be high on relative to the market. Smith Schuster, I'm going to be high on relative to the market. And Marquise Brown. I'm not discouraged, Hollywood. I still believe in you, buddy.
Sean, who are you high on?
So these are the two players I'll be targeting in GPPs. I think they're good buy low opportunities. They should be under-owned because they haven't really done much this year. But Brandon Cooks is the first one for me at 4,500. He's had a rough start to the season. They faced the Chiefs, Ravens, Steelers. He's still, trying to get in sync with Deshaun Watson. But last week he ran route on 91% of the snaps, so he's playing. He's due for a breakout, and I think this Vikings defense could be a smash spot for him. We saw Khalif Raymond just go bonkers on him, and he's, really the Titans' deep threat. So I think Cooks could sneak in a long touchdown this week. He's super cheap. Again, GPP only. Don't play him in cash, obviously. But I'm buying low on him. And then Demary Bird is my 3K flyer this week. He played a snap 100% of the time on Cam Newton's dropbacks last week. I think he's averaged like 97% of the snaps on pass plays. So this matchup at KC where Newton will be throwing a lot more, Bird could go off. And when I say go off, I mean 5 yards, 80 yards, and a touchdown. You won't need much at 3K, but he could be a sneaky GPP flyer this week.
Raybon, what about you?
I don't know, Sean. You better be careful of Bashaud Breeland. He might come off the suspended list and just blanket Burt. Nah, I'm just kidding. For me,
you got what I was saying. That Snead is a backup who's playing because other guys are out.
He's not. I guarantee you that he will not be a backup. Like you do the wide receiver cornerbacks. You should know this. He's been amazing. Like I can't believe you're not on top of this. But like we digress because no one cares. So for me, I like T. Higgins this week. I think this is the time of year where, especially because we had the COVID offseason, not as much camp. You're starting to see the rookie receivers blow up around this time. We saw it with Jefferson. Higgins actually caught 2 touchdowns last week. But the key for him was that when they made Ross inactive, it was essentially for Higgins. Higgins led the Bengals.
This is so spot on, Raybon, dude.
Like they led he led the Bengals in routes run. He was 43 to Boyd 42, AJ Green 41, 83% of the dropbacks. You just have to go with him right now. I think Tyra Boyd's in a good spot as well, but AJ Green really doesn't look like himself, and Joe Burrow is kind of struggling if he's peppering him with targets. So I think that's kind of why they made Higgins a bigger part. So like they give him another option. That's not John Ross, who is another guy that it's like feast or famine. So I love Higgins this week. And in general, I think this is a time, like I love the Chenault call with Davis. I think all of the rookie receivers, Jefferson, go back to him. But
Claypool, like all these dudes are sick buys this week. Yeah, 100%.
Love him. But I think Friedman's going to disagree with me on this one, so I'm interested to hear his take. But I like Devante Parker this week. Again, I mentioned it. Seattle has given up essentially like 300 yards more than anyone else in the league passing, like 400 more yards than Russ has even thrown for. And you look at Parker, he was struggling with injury in that first game. The last week, the second week he ran a route on 90% of the dropbacks. And last week he was up at 100. So like, it's simple math, like the Seahawks are going to score points. The Dolphins are going to have to come back and they're going to have to throw it down the field. And the Seahawks can't stop anybody. It was Cam Newton to Julian Edelman over and over in that Seattle game, and they couldn't stop that. And, he's really their only guy in New England. And so you look at the Parker, he's had kind of not really he's had an underwhelming stretch, I guess you could say, not really much to show for his routes over the past couple of games. But I think this is a big, big spot for him where you could see him pop off for, 150, 200 yards and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm relatively low. I might need to make adjustments here. The big thing is he just hasn't gotten many targets to this point in the season. And Raybon, to your point, he has been out there running the routes. He just hasn't been targeted. And there are enough other guys who are getting the ball within that offense. Like you think that they should be going to Parker much more than they have been. But, Preston Williams, Gesicki, Isaiah Ford is getting more targets than he should. So I would assume that this is a game in which Parker would go off. But he just hasn't gotten the target share to this point in the season for me to bump him to the point that he needs to be for me to project him higher.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think this has to be like, this is not really bumping him. This is literally, you're just letting the math play out. He was hurt in week 1, 90%, 100%. You're not getting many receivers running 100% of the dropbacks versus the worst pass defense in the league in a game with a total of 54 where the team is going to be playing from behind. Like, that's just, like, this is the game where Parker's probably going to get like 25% of his season total and then go back to being like, eh.
I mean, I hear you. I need to make adjustments, but I'm still not going to make massive adjustments on Parker.
I mean, I got him number 17. I don't know. Maybe that's not too crazy, but I don't know.
Yeah. Davis, who are you low on?
I always hate to give low wide receivers because they just, it's so much easier to blow up on these. I think one guy who I will just always be low on because I hate the offense so much is McLaurin. I'm not super into him this week. And then expensive guys that I expect to be under the field on Allen Robinson. I don't know if I buy this. Allen Robinson is like a top 10, top 5 wide receiver with Nick Foles at quarterback. And then also probably in tournaments, I'll just end up having like no Thielen. Like Thielen will be 12% in the Millie Maker or something. And I won't have him at all. I'd rather Amari. I think I'd even rather Keenan Allen. And I don't like Keenan Allen at all. I'd rather Mike Evans, probably rather Marquise Brown than play Thielen where he's priced out on DraftKings.
All right, Sean, who are you low on?
I'm low on Keenan Allen. Davis has mentioned him, but yeah, he's 6,500 this week. I think people could overweight last week's game. I mean, they fell behind to the Panthers. Talk about the perfect game script. So, his 13 catch, 132-yard, 1 touchdown game is going to be a little bit misleading. This week, they face the Buccaneers, who are much better defense. And again, we don't really know if Tyrod's going to start or not. But anytime Tyrod starts, I'm going to downgrade Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler a bit and boost up Mike Williams just based on the limited sample size we've seen. And the other guy I'm low on this week is Juju Smith-Schuster. Again, it depends if this game plays or not, but he's 6,500. Assuming Deontay plays, I have Juju all the way down to wide receiver 30. And a big part of that just has to do with James Washington and Chase Claypool stepping up. And even Eric Ebron. I just think one of the appealing things with Juju is always, he's going to see massive target share, but just with all these weapons stepping up, it's a lot more spread out. So that definitely hurts Juju, and he's going to become a little bit more touchdown dependent than I think we were hoping. So I'm down on him this week, assuming the game plays.
Okay, not to slow the show down, but Sean, you are low on Keenan Allen. Raybon, you are seemingly perennially high on Keenan Allen, and you have him number 5 right now in the rankings. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, so I talked about how Herbert, they were running a lot at first, but they've been throwing a lot more over this last game and a half, and I think that seeing Allen get that target share combined with the fact that you have a great front for Tampa Bay, so I don't think they're going to be able to do much in the run game. They've allowed 150 yards on 57 carries to backs. This is another game for me where it's Allen and Hunter Henry. And really the reason I was low on Allen personally, I think we all were, was because of Tyrod Taylor.
Because of Tyrod.
Right. And how and this was a guy who, a lot of people were a little higher on him. I really didn't see it for him. I don't know if, he would really get the job back if he's back healthy. I don't think he should, but without Taylor there, I think Allen's back to, what he was before. And I've always been high on him, like you said, Friedman. So yeah, I just think this is another one of those spots for him. I'm not worried about anything with Taylor out of the lineup.
All right, Raybon, who are you low on?
Allen Robinson. Again, the Falcons defense is there's a few defenses that you just can't take, past performance and kind of project it out. And the Falcons defense is one of them. I mean, this is a team that builds, 15, 20, 25-point leads in every game. And then the other team just has to come back and beat them. And so Allen Robinson puts up a huge game, and now he's facing the Colts. And, this is interesting to me because I know they let Gardner Minshew go 19 of 20 in week 1. Not much yardage, but he did get 3 touchdowns. But the Colts now rate number 1 in pass defense DVOA according to Football Outsider. So this is still a tough defense to put up production on, and I just don't think it'll be the same kind of game script. And it will be a tougher matchup, even if I don't think the Colts are that good. Much different game script. The total is only, I think, 40, 44, or 45 in this game. And that's after the Bears, have put up, 30 or 20, high 20s in 2 out of the 3 games. And 30. So, like, this is just not a good spot for him.
All right, Sean, give us the prop.
Well, I was thinking about doing a Cedric Wilson prop, but I think we're going to pivot to Devante Parker. Just based on what Raybon said. I'm pretty high on him too, so I'm just curious to hear where you guys have him projected. But I have his receiving yards set at 66.5 yards.
That's high, dude.
I'm
high on him.
I'll take the under, but I have it at 62.5. So it's not as if it's like I'm egregiously off on the line that you said. I think part of it is that I'm just not projecting him for that many touchdowns.
I have it at 69, so I'll go over.
I want the under, yeah.
Okay.